Hi, I'm Angelique. I am the host of the Can I Borrow Your Skin podcast. And it's June, so besides male mental health, it is Pride. And June is this celebration, and it's highlighting these two very important things that are near and dear to my heart. For those of you that don't know what Pride is, it is a celebration of all things lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, like queer, like pretty much all the amazing people in my life. And if you have not followed my pod, read my book, heard me speak, or truly don't know me in real life, I am a supportive person of all the disenfranchised. So whether it's based on gender, sex, religion, creed, race, ableness, trauma, etc., pretty much to sum me up, I let people. Like, I do not have an opinion on how a person chooses to exist because their existence does not require my opinion. Period. Point blank. So for the discussion I have here today, I am going to be combining the ideas of pride and male mental health, and I am joined with my nephew, Toby.
Hi.
And to introduce Toby a little bit, he is a college student. He is studying anatomical engineering. He wants to work with persons with physical defects and disabilities of the limb. At this point, I don't know if you've decided to go clinical and be a prosthetist or not yet, but that's pretty much where we are.
Yeah, that's so fair. It's a little bit of a struggle getting into the market.
Understand.
Just because it's a little small, but once you're in there, you're in there. So I'm still currently looking for a job in that field right now.
Yes. So tell us about yourself.
So I am Toby. I'm a trans man. I've post-top surgery. I've been on testosterone for, almost 5 years now.
Awesome.
And effectively have been living my life completely as a man for probably about 2 years now.
Okay.
It's definitely a lot that goes into that. That's for sure. I definitely have to thank my parents for letting me medically transition as early as I did.
And that's something I actually want to talk about. So what does and did your support look like?
Well, so I first came out to my parents, I want to say late middle school-ish as not a girl. I didn't know really what I was at that point. I think I came out as non-binary first. And it was a very emotional experience because my mom, not so much my dad, but my mom was very heavily religious.
Okay.
And I was never, just the people that my parents are, I was never worried about being like kicked out of my house or anything.
That's awesome.
I was never worried about being put in danger. But I was significantly worried about being denied who I was, or I was just worried about feeling rejected. So when I came out to mom, she definitely didn't understand, but in her words, she definitely wanted to try. She never said no.
That's awesome.
She said, "Give me a minute."
Now I can actually hear her voice saying, "Give me a minute." Literally, I can hear her voice saying that. So, Toby is my nephew by love. I actually know both of his parents. I've known them for decades. I've known Toby his entire life, and Toby's sibling. So like they are family to me. All of them are family to me, and it's actually kind of funny because both of Toby's parents are in a scientific fraternity that I am in, and I'm both of their big brothers. And so, so one of the jokes is, from Toby's father is, my wife's big brother is a black woman name. And I'm just like,
my auntie, my auntie's my uncle twice.
So One of the things I want to touch on, and I think it's absolutely amazing, and I've walked with your parents through your transition.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up mental health this month with Pride is one of the biggest fears for people transitioning is family rejection,
Hmm. Hmm.
the lack of a support system, and you didn't go through that. And that is
No.
absolutely amazing. I think
Oh,
besides your parents,
it's a miracle.
you had extended family as well
Hmm.
that were there to support you, blood or not. And
Hmm.
so I think that that is amazing. One of the other questions I had for you, actually, what was the hardest part for you of being your authentic self?
It probably was getting over that fear of being rejected, and like as I learned to like function within myself a little bit better, it did become easier. But there is a little bit of this dysregulation when you're learning to function as a new you. It feels raw. It feels a little bit like a weird blister. It's like
Okay.
it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you know there's new fresh skin underneath. You
Okay.
know that there's like it's going to be stronger. You know it's going to be better off, but it is like dealing with that friction is especially uncomfortable. Especially early transition
Okay.
when you feel I struggle with this a little bit. I feel that even though I know from my interactions in society, I know that I pass just as a man generally, a queer man, but a man nonetheless. But I still don't feel like I do a lot of the times.
Okay.
So I'll like sometimes I'll do and I'll say things before realizing that people are viewing me just as someone that was born a man, and that
Okay.
would change people's perspective on that sort of thing.
Okay.
Um, like a lot of times my opinions on like uh women's health and stuff like that, I feel like even though I'm like spouting the same stuff, I'm saying the same stuff as a lot of the women in my life. I feel like I do get swept under the rug a little bit more because people are like, oh, that's a man. Their opinion on that stuff doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
Which, and that's actually one of the reasons why the lifetime risk of self-harm and suicide is so high in
Hmm.
transgender men. It's actually up to 80%, 82% of them might actually have self-harm thoughts, and up to 40% of them will actually attempt to take their own lives. It's high. And one of the big reasons for that is the lack of gender affirming care, both healthcare
Hmm.
and mental health. And
Hmm.
that number, when I looked it up and I saw it, I was so unhappy.
Oh yeah, it's genuinely a huge problem. Is lack of gender affirming care. I mean, I can't count on my hands the amount of testimonies that I've written to my friends' parents
Oh, wow.
to like say like, hey, I've been on, because again, I'm incredibly lucky. I got on testosterone pretty much as a 16th birthday present, like as
Nice.
early as I could. And I got top surgery at 18. All of my transition goals it was super early compared to the average, and people usually don't start transitioning at all. I have several friends that did not start transitioning at all until they were in like their 20s.
Oh, wow.
And were like already a little bit distanced from their parents and like the people that don't accept them nearly as much. But it is a huge problem because there is that community, and even within the community, I feel like a little bit trans men are kind of swept under the rug a little bit.
Okay.
There is a visibility problem with
Okay.
trans men. And part of it is that it is men are expected to be lazier almost.
Okay.
Like when you think about women are expected to be, if we think about it in our society, women are expected to be a lot more prim, a lot more proper, a lot more put
Correct.
together.
Correct.
As a general rule.
Right.
And that does apply to trans women, but the inverse does also apply to trans men.
Right.
There's also that rhetoric, TERF rhetoric, trans exclusionary radical feminist. You're not a feminist if it's not inclusionary.
Interesting.
Intersectional is the word. There it is.
I'm
You're
like,
not-
okay.
you're not a feminist if it's not intersectional.
Okay.
But because of that sort of rhetoric, it kind of pushes the thought that like one, trans women are like predatory and like that's the only reason they're transitioning. But it also pushes the rhetoric that trans men are these sweet little baby victims
Interesting.
that are the victim of violence on females, and that's why they don't want to be a girl anymore, is because they've dealt with too much of that.
Fair.
And it's infantilizing.
It is.
There is very much like a problem where it's like I'll get called like baby names or like pet names by people that like think that because I'm a trans man I'm any less of a man. I'm not a boy anymore. I'm not in high school. I have a full goatee.
Full goatee.
I have more facial hair than your father does. I don't want to hear it.
Right. And that's actually one of the reasons why there's so much anxiety and depression, especially for transgender men, because according to the NIH and the Trevor report, you're never viewed as an adult. Like you kind of stay in this infantilized state, and then once you get to a certain age, then it's like, well, you're not a real man. And it's just like, bro, what do I have to be to become this quote real man?
Exactly. What do I have to be? And the answer usually is misogynistic. Unfortunately, you find a sad amount of trans men that fall into that like alt-right pipeline, that like misogynistic pipeline, looking for approval from their male peers.
Yep.
Because that's like the only way that they can get it a lot of the time.
Yep. Trans men, gay men, a fair number of them fall to the alt-right for that exact reason. And it's sad, and I'm not going to do the political thing, but according to the NIH, 44% of trans men suffer with depression and 33% as adults suffer with anxiety, and it's much higher in children. And I think the higher rates in children have to deal with physical violence, bullying, the documentation, so discrimination at your school and workplace, and because a lot of parents aren't supportive, they don't get like their birth certificates and things changed, and so they feel that they're, and I'm sorry, I don't like it, but I have to because I don't want to use real names. But they feel like they're Barbara, but their birth certificate says Barbara. They feel like they're Billy. And so it's like, I'm Billy, dog. Quit calling me Barbara. And so
it was like I had my name changed legally, like in the system. I want to say junior year of high school, before they announced the birthdays of the PA system.
Right.
I never once got my actual name read out on that birthday on the PA system because they required a birth certificate change, which is something a lot of trans people really don't get done. Right. The only reason I got mine done was because in Michigan you can get your things amended without an amendment like note on the bottom. It's just they just reprint it like it's how it was all the time.
That's awesome.
So that actually does. I'm actually signed up for the draft because of this. I am legally stealth. Everything down to the birth certificate all matches.
That's awesome.
And while it is good, it does provide like a layer of protection, a layer of concealment. It's also like that's an expensive process. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like adding up all. Even just the name change court order itself cost me about $300.
Oh wow!
That's just the name change order itself. That's not that's not that's not a passport. That's not a driver's license change. Right. Passport itself is like $150. The license is $60.
Yep.
Like. The money adds up quick, and then you add on to that medically transitioning. I mean, and God forbid insurance doesn't cover your surgery. Insurance didn't cover my top surgery.
Oh, wow.
Because all of the transgender stuff is billed under mental health care.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So they refuse to cover surgery. I was a well-endowed individual before.
Right.
So they would have covered a reduction for like quality of life, but
Okay.
apparently quality of life doesn't cover a full mastectomy. So I actually went to an independent plastic surgeon, and that was still $7,000.
Oh, wow.
Like my appointments for like to get my granted these appointments get more spaced out the longer you are on testosterone, but my appointments to go get testosterone are like $300 a pop.
Oh, wow.
Granted, there are much cheaper there are cheaper places to get them. I'm my parents amazing. My dad does pay for all of that.
Wow.
My
Thank you, Dad.
exactly. It was actually the story of me getting top surgery. It does make me tear up sometimes because my dad's been amazingly supportive. But he hasn't understood.
Okay.
But the thing is that hasn't stopped him from being a good dad.
That's awesome.
He has this thing where it doesn't matter if he doesn't understand or if he doesn't think that I need it. I can put my foot down and say, "Dad, I need this," and he's there.
That's amazing.
He gives it to me. He's because I was at, especially with starting testosterone, I was at a point where I was down in the ditch. I was so mentally unwell.
Yeah, it was
and
affecting your mental health.
it horribly. I was not the person who I felt I needed to be. I
didn't match your outside. And so
exactly. I was.
you were struggling. I love that your father and your mom have stepped up for you. So, last question, and to wrap this up, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would you tell?
I'd probably. It sounds cheesy. I'd probably tell him that it does truly get better, because yes, being trans and being a man is a very integral part of my experience. Just around life, there are some days where I don't think about it.
That's awesome.
Like I'll just be hanging out in my underwear playing video games with my homies, and I'm not thinking about the fact that they're cis and I'm not. Yes, it's important to how I function on my day-to-day life, but there are times where it's not the main thing on your mind.
That's awesome.
It's not something that takes over your life. It's just an adjective on who you are.
Yeah.
And who you are is
An
Toby.
amazing person.
Oh.
Any last thoughts you want to put before we close out?
I just want to say to people that it sounds cheesy, but it does get better. There are resources out there.
Okay.
There are resources out there for you. Planned Parenthood does gender affirming care. Look up surgeons in your area if you need them. Do your research, please, for the love of God. Do your research, get your blood work done. Stay safe, because a world without you in it is a world that is worse off.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me, Toby.
Of course.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm so bad at this, but like, subscribe, save, jump in those comments. Let's talk about it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.